Hey folks, Ted here. So I want to take this time to offer some quick unscripted advice for people that are sort of facing this, shall we say, Unity debacle. And I want to try and be like as compassionate as I possibly can, because for somebody like me who's been, making games with his own engine, has yet to have a commercial success with it, has really been more or less kind of struggling to do it for the last 5 years. I just hope that I can say something that might be helpful, because the way I look at this, for me, it's always been an investment in the future, my future. And so I'm looking at it as 10 years from now, 5 years from now, how am I going to feel when I'm working on my games? What's that going to be like? Am I going to enjoy the process? Is my business going to be completely my own, or as much my own as it can possibly be? And when you make these decisions, it's a very like long-term thinking kind of a thing, and it's very unsatisfying at the beginning. And that's kind of the sort of the thing that's difficult for people to deal with. And I think in many ways it's quite a bit of what the lure is for a tool like Unity, right? Is we're gonna, instead of you having to do all this like really difficult stuff from the beginning, like you got to make your own audio renderer, you got to figure out how to do graphics, you got to figure out how to support different platforms. Like today, I just had to figure out how to do code signing on Mac OS so I could ship my Mac OS builds without triggering the gatekeeper. There's like all these problems that suddenly become yours if you don't use one of these game engines. And all I can tell you is, yeah, it sucks. And it's a lot of life is like that. And there are many things in life that, to sort of enjoy them to the best way that you can, they do take a lot of investment. And it's, snowboarding for me at least was a lot like that. I spent years and years barely being able to hit jumps, struggling, not being able to land much of anything, just falling over constantly, dealing with all kinds of fears. And then eventually, 5 or 6 years of investment time put in, I got to a point where I could hit the jump. I could hit big jumps. I could land things consistently. And I started to get into a bit of a rhythm and start to enjoy myself. And this is how I feel about people currently maybe relying so much on a game engine. Is what I want to tell you is like that there actually is this beautiful, lovely place that you can get to after the 5 or 6 years of investment, and that it's actually like really fun. And I have this like game engine now, and I have this set of tools, and I can do all these amazing things that I wasn't able to do when I was trying to do it on Unity, right? So I can sit down on my Windows PC and I can just type a little script, and I get the game building in like less than 5 seconds, right? And I can go on my Mac, or I can like take my little like Mac laptop here, right? This like tiny underpowered thing, and I can get it to build and run my game in like 5 seconds. So I'm not beholden to this big third-party corporation that can like pull the rug out from underneath me, and that makes me download this like 9 GB executable, or however big Unity is these days. I don't even know how big it is. Everything that I have is small, lightweight, it's mine, and very satisfying to work with. And I think that's kind of like another problem that people run into here is I am thinking about the long term. I think to make your own game engine, to do that kind of thing, you have to be a long-term thinker. But I also think that a big part of that is thinking about the present moment and thinking about making something so that you can enjoy your life, or you can enjoy the game development process in the present moment. And for me, it is as much an investment in my present moment experience, my not wanting to feel frustration in the present moment because there's these tools that I can't control, as it is a decision to invest in my future as a game developer. So I even feel like if a bus hit me tomorrow and I never ship a successful game doing this or any of that, I still feel satisfied that I took the route that works for me, that made me happy while I was working on this project. And maybe that's something where like you have to have that kind of personality that would want to do things that way. That is totally possible. That might actually be the case for you. So I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying like that, this is for everybody. If you don't enjoy programming, if you don't enjoy kind of understanding how computers work at a really deep level, this might not be for you. In that case, like I might suggest, maybe try and team up with a programmer who does love that kind of thing. Like there are plenty of us that could really use a very talented artist or sound designer or whoever on our team that's like really committed to working with us. I know I could certainly use somebody like that. So my point is just to say that if you get started down this path and you put in the time, it feels good in the present, and there is also a long-term reward at the end of that tunnel, right? And I'm actually just now starting to experience some of that. I'm just now starting to feel like I'm really enjoying game development. Like my games look good, they work well, I can ship them on platforms. I'm not, having a lot of these problems. And then, this news today, or this news hits about Unity, and I sort of feel this temptation to gloat. They're like, I was right. But at the same time, what I feel is this deep sympathy for people that have to go through this struggle right now because they're so invested in this other thing. And I'm not going to give you any easy answers, but I guess like all I can really say is there is a light at the end of that tunnel. And your game is not just your game engine. It's not just your code. Like there are things in your game that are more important than the engine, right? So there's the art assets, the game concept. If you've already proven that you have a game concept that works, that the audience wants, that people want, and you're using Unity, like just switch the engine. Like who cares? You've done the hard work already. You've already proven that there's a market for the thing that you want. So like that's the hard part. Like the programming, yeah, that is hard too, but what's much harder is actually finding your audience, finding your voice, figuring out what the market wants. All of that's much, much more difficult than sitting down and coding something once you already know what to code. So I'm not sure if this helps or what, but I did kind of want to like take this as an opportunity to just kind of throw my 2 cents in there. And if you have any questions or anything you like answered, just hit me up in the messages. Not really sure where to go with this, but I do have a lot of code that I can share with people if they are interested in switching to their own engine. So just let me know. And sorry for the kind of unscripted thing. I have a much more polished video I plan to do future, but good to talk, and hope things go well for you in your game development adventures.